Hello traders and investors, welcome to the week that was by Zerodha Varsity, where we bring you up to speed with what's happening in the markets this week, and that too under 5 minutes, so let's begin. In this episode, we will talk about the Hindenburg and SEBI episode. Next would be where are mutual fund investors investing, then Bharti Enterprises acquisition, and then we'll talk about India's wholesale price inflation numbers. Then we'll talk about a candid chat between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Moving on with Warren Buffett's massive cash pile, and lastly we'll discuss the contrasting views of banks in the US regarding recession, so stay tuned till the end. Starting up with the Indian markets, first up is the Hindenburg and SEBI episode. If you remember, in late June 2024, SEBI sent a show cause notice to Hindenburg for sensationalizing their research findings. Hindenburg, on the other hand, is not obligated to comply because they do not have operations in India. However, Hindenburg stirred the storm again last weekend when it reported that SEBI Chief Madhvi Puri Butch and her husband Mr. Dhawal Butch have their offshore investments in a fund that takes bets on Adani stocks. There was also some conflict of interest allegations against them. However, both of them in a joint statement have refuted all accusation on point-to-point basis. The markets did not react to this news. However, Adani stocks were declining by 3 to 4%. Next up, let's talk about AMFI data, according to which the mid-cap funds account for 12.9% of the total equity AUM, larger than the large-cap funds, which account for 12.3%. Now, there can be two reasons for such factor. One is that the rally in the mid-cap stocks, so the value of your holdings go up, and the second is that people are investing in mid-cap funds, so the AUM grows more because of more contributions. Next up is Bharti Enterprise, which is set to acquire 24% stake in BT Telecom for $4 billion. Now, BT Telecom is the largest telecom company in UK and holds a third of UK's broadband market. Note that Bharti Airtel has nothing to do with this deal. Bharti Enterprises is a promoter holding company that houses Bharti Airtel, Bharti Exa, Indus Towers, Del Monte, among other businesses in India. Moving on to wholesale inflation numbers that have eased to 2.04% from 3.36% in June 2024. Now, wholesale price inflation measures inflation at a wholesale level or at a level where manufacturers or wholesale businesses can buy goods. Consumer inflation, on the other hand, measures inflation for average consumers like you and me. Now, if wholesale inflation is less than the consumer inflation, it means that the cost is not growing as fast as the revenue, and this could lead to possible margin improvements. But if the wholesale inflation is more than the consumer inflation, then that can lead to potential margin contractions. Now let's look at what's happening outside India. The week started with a candid chat between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, where their conversation ranged between the assassination attempt on Donald Trump and his policies on immigration and defense if he wins this year's presidential election. Donald Trump also said that Russia-Ukraine war wouldn't have happened if he was still the president of the country. The US president elections are set to happen in November 2024, and the race is between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Next up in focus is OG investor Warren Buffett. The Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway holds $235 billion worth treasury bills, which is more than the Fed's T-bill holdings of $195 billion. At 5%, Berkshire pockets $11 billion as interest earnings annually. Observers see this as a sign of distress in the market. This is because Warren Buffett does not see equity opportunity that can yield 5% like T-bills, and if he does not see the opportunity, it seems alarming. Now, talking about the economies, there are some contrasting views between the banks in the US. On one hand, JP Morgan has assigned 35% probability of US recession hitting the market by the end of this year. On the other hand, Bank of America predicts no recession. The labor data is not very promising, and the increasing unemployment rates in US kind of corroborates with JP Morgan's viewpoint. On the other hand, inflation has been tamed. So, if in the month of September, Fed actually does some interest rate cuts, then that will be in line with Bank of America's expectation. So this was all about this week. As of last note, the markets were closed on Thursday, 15th August, as the country celebrated its 78th Independence Day. A very happy Independence Day to you all. See you in the next week. Bye-bye.